Today we're going to talk for just a few minutes on converting between mixed numbers and improper fractions. And this should be review for you, so we should be able to get through this lesson very, very quickly. So when we have two mixed numbers and improper fractions, they can actually be equivalent, just like we can have equivalent ratios, equivalent fractions, but they just look differently. So when I change and I convert from an improper fraction to a mixed number, I'm really not changing the value at all. I'm making it the same, I'm just making it look different. So, for example, I have 7 over 2, and that's an improper fraction because numerator is bigger than the denominator. And normally when we look at fractions, the numerator is smaller. So if I want to turn an improper fraction, 7 over 2, into a mixed number, I need to first divide and then subtract. So let's look at this. Just like we do with the homework, when we are, with our test scores and our quiz scores, when we're finding our grades, we always put the numerator, inside the house, and the denominator goes outside. If I'm punching into my calculator, I go from top to bottom, 7 divided by 2. Same thing, I'm going to divide 7 divided by 2 because that's what that fraction bar really means. So I take 7 and I divide it by 2. I take 7, I divide it by 2. 2 goes into 7 3 times. 3 times 2 is 6. So when I take 7 minus 6, I subtract, I get a remainder of 1. 3 is going to be my whole number because 3 is the whole number of times that 2 can go into 7. And then 1, my remainder, becomes my numerator. Notice the denominators stay exactly the same. That'll never change. Now, if I wanted to change a mixed number like 3 2/5 into an improper fraction, I do the opposite. Whereas before I would divide and subtract, now I'm going to multiply and add. And I start with this 5. I'm going to multiply 5 times 3 and then add 2. So let's look at that. 3 times 5 is 15, plus 2 is 17. So 17 over 5 is my improper fraction. Again, I kept the denominator the same. All I did was change my numerator so that I didn't have this whole number out here. So 5 times 3 is 15. 15 plus 2 is 17. I'm doing the exact opposite of what I was doing here. And if you can think backwards and say, well, 5 goes into 17 3 whole times with 2 left over. So 3 2/5. And that's how we would get back to the mixed number. Okay, let's try a couple. Number 1, 6 2/3. Remember what you're going to do. You're going to take 6 times 3 and add 2. So what is 6 times 3 is 18, plus 2 is 20, and I keep my denominator, and I get 20 over 3. Your turn. Try 2 through 6 in the work section of your WSQ. Okay, let's check your work. For number 2, you should have gotten 31 over 6. Number 3, 23 over 5. Number 4, 29 over 10. Number 5, 60 over 7. And number 6, 51 over 4. Now let's go the opposite way. Convert these improper fractions into mixed numbers, and let's do the first one together. Remember, you're going to divide and then subtract to go from improper fraction to mixed number. So what is 17 divided by 4? Well, 4 goes into 17 4 full times, because 4 times 4 is 16, with 1 left over. So 4 1/4. Now it's your turn. Pause the video and try 8 through 12 in the work section of your WSQ. Okay, let's check your work. Number 8 is 3 5/8. 9 is 7 1/5. 10 is 15 1/3. 11 is 10 2/4, but 2/4 needed to be simplified to 1/2. And 12 is 16. We're done with this video. You can go back and watch any portion as many times as you need to, but don't forget WSQ in your notes.